Assalamu alaikum. Story time. I was recently sitting with a dear friend when she shared an activity she had done in therapy, writing a letter to her younger self and to the parents who raised her and the people who were around her. As she read it out loud, I found myself completely speechless. Every word she wrote reflected experiences I have witnessed, not just in my own family, but in so many of the families I work with. I asked her if, keeping her identity completely anonymous, I could share the letter because I believe it could truly help other parents reflect and grow. She kindly agreed. It made me realize how many parents move through life without fully understanding what they are doing, how they do not grasp the depth of their words, the weight of their actions, and the lifelong burden their children are left to carry, simply because they themselves are so caught up in their own struggles. And in that moment, something else began to make sense to me, that perhaps there is a reason we are entrusted with the role of raising a child with such gravity in our faith, to nurture, to love, and to guide, because what we give or fail to give does not fade, it stays. I want to apologize beforehand if I break down while reading it, because if you are able to hear these words without your heart trembling, without your eyes filling, then I am truly glad. It means you have never had to live what these words carry. A letter to my younger self and the adults who shaped me. There is something I have come to understand after a lifetime of carrying what was never meant for a child to bear. You do not raise the children you wish for. You do not raise the children you imagine you deserve. You raise the children you work for. The love you give, the safety you provide, the boundaries you protect, these are not small things. They are the foundation of a human being. And I understand something now too, something I can hold with both truth and softness. Perhaps you wanted different children, children who fit a certain image, a certain list of expectations, qualities you believed should simply exist. But children are not born with a completed list. They are empty canvas. What is taught, what is shown, what is nurtured, that is what begins to form them. And that canvas, once shaped over time, becomes the very painting created by the hands that raised it. If a child is raised feeling unseen, unheard, and unsafe, she does not simply grow out of it. She grows into it. She becomes the adult who apologizes for existing, who chases love but cannot hold it, who believes deep within that she must earn what should have been freely given. Please understand this. Children do not become who they are by accident. They become who they are shaped into or what they are left alone to survive. When you leave a child unprotected, when you allow others to harm them with words, with labels, with cruelty, you are not remaining neutral. You are choosing. Every time I was cornered, shamed, or labeled as a thief for taking what was not mine, for trying to soothe myself with something that made the world feel less harsh, you allowed it. Nobody stopped to see why I was doing it. Nobody sat me down and asked, why is this child behaving like this? What does she need? Nobody treated it as a cry for help. Nobody spoke to me gently or lovingly, explained the choices I was making, or helped me understand safer ways to get what I needed. Instead, I was only labeled. And that labeling from a very young age became a shadow that followed me. persisting in my life in ways I am only now beginning to fully name and understand. And I learned that my needs were shameful. Every time I was called names that no child should ever hear, words that stripped me of dignity and innocence, you allowed it. And I learned that I was undeserving of respect, of protection, and of love. You did not have to say it every time. Your silence said enough. What I needed was not perfection. I needed to be gathered, cleaned, held, and told, you are safe. You are mine. You are worthy. But I was left to make sense of pain on my own. So do not years later look at the life I have had to crawl through and ask how I became this way. Do not place the weight of your disappointment on the same child who was once just a few years old, trying desperately to make sense of things. Because I did not become this in a moment. I was shaped here, slowly, repeatedly. I learned to accept what hurt me because it felt familiar. I learned to stay in friendships where I was not loved because I did not believe I deserved better. I learned to confuse longing with love and pain with belonging. And that is what happens when a child is raised without safety. They grow into adults who recognize danger as home. And there is something else I carry, something heavy and complicated, but honest. I am grateful to Allah for the life we lost. Because that child would have been raised by a most unhealthy, disturbed, and traumatized version of me. No broken or traumatized person can raise a healthy child unless they have done the work, and I had not done the work. This is not an easy truth, but it is real. I am so grateful beyond words to Allah for saving me, for protecting me in ways I did not even understand at the time, for pulling me back from paths that could have ended in darkness so deep I may never have returned. Because I know this with a clarity that humbles me. I could have been lost. I could have disappeared into a life so broken that no one would have come looking. I could have ended up abandoned, discarded, forgotten. And yet, I was saved. When no one else chose me, Allah did. When no one else protected me, Allah did. When no one else saw my worth, Allah still found me worthy enough to be guided, to be kept alive. Because truly, without Allah, none of us make it through life. And today I want to say something I should have been told long ago. I am so sorry. I am so deeply sorry to you, my little girl. I am sorry that you did not have a single adult who could step in and save you. No one who stood between you and the harm. No one who held your face in their hands and helped you understand what was happening around you. No one told you that just because your parents did not love each other well, just because they fought, just because they lived inside a marriage filled with tension and hurt, that none of it was yours to carry. It was never your fault. Every time you were pulled into conflicts and then later resented for it, know this now. That was never your burden. It was theirs to figure out, theirs to carry, theirs to resolve, not yours to be dragged into, and certainly not yours to be blamed for. You were a child placed in situations no child should ever have to navigate. And for every time you reached for something, anything that could soothe you, for every path you took that was not safe, not healthy, and not kind to yourself, I understand now. Because the you, the pure you, the unscarred you, the one who existed before all of this, would never have chosen those roads. Those paths were never yours to walk. They were the roads of life carved for a self left unseen, unloved, and unheld as you deserved to be. You were not reckless. You were not broken. You were trying to survive a world that made no sense. And I forgive you for all of it. More than that, I honor you for surviving it. So I ask you, not in anger, but in truth, look at yourselves, not with excuses, not with the burdens you carried or the hardships you endured, but with honesty. I understand that we cannot go back and change what has already been written. I am not questioning the qadr of Allah, but what can be chosen now still matters. What can be done now is this: do not continue to inflict pain where there has already been more than enough. If nothing else can be given, then let there at least be restraint. Let there be an end to what still harms. I truly pray that Allah is kind to all of us, that He softens what has hardened and brings ease where there has been so much hurt, because your children will carry what you place inside them far longer than you imagine. They will search for a love in places that mirror their wounds. They will tolerate what breaks them simply because it feels known. And no amount of time will undo what was left undone. Take this to Allah, sit with it, let it settle into your heart, because children do not become what you hoped for. They become what you nurtured, what you allowed, and what you failed to protect. And to the little girl I once was, you were never unworthy. You were never too much. You were never what they said you were. You were a child who needed love, and you deserved it, fully, fiercely, and without condition. I see you now. I stand with you now, and I will carry you gently for the rest of our days. And to all the adults around me, those who saw, who heard, who could have stepped in, I forgive you. I forgive you not because what you did or didn't do was harmless, but because forgiveness frees me from carrying the weight. Forgiveness is for me, not because it was owed. Yet I also know this: when we are not part of the solution, we can become part of the problem. Many of the adults around me who could have intervened would never have let anything like this happen to their own children. None would have allowed anyone to speak to them cruelly, treat them harshly, or leave them to suffer in silence. I forgive you, but I also hope that those who can act will choose to act, so no child ever endures what I did. Children learn from what they witness. Every adult who steps back quietly shapes how a child sees the world. Pause, reflect, step in, correct gently, guide with care, and own the ways your actions or inactions affect a child. This is how children learn accountability, love, and safety, not just from words, but from what they see lived. Parents, you teach your children to choose family by choosing family. You teach them love by choosing love, by choosing them again and again. You do not raise children on words alone. You raise them on what they witness. You teach morals by living them, not by preaching them. You teach respect by giving it. You teach honesty by standing in truth even when it is inconvenient. You show up, and in showing up consistently, gently, truthfully, you teach them the meaning of life, of money, of relationships, and of integrity. But you cannot say one thing and live another and expect your children to grow into values they have never seen in practice. Children do not become what you say, they become what you show. And when children grow up in environments that feel unsafe, where they feel they have no one to protect them, they do not simply leave that behind with age, they carry it. They grow into adults who feel the same helplessness, the same quiet fear, the same uncertainty of where safety truly exists. So please pause, reflect, and understand this, because they are always watching. I will end this with something I hope stays with you. I truly wish that when you listen to this, when you hear this letter, your tears come from empathy, not from recognition. I hope you did not cry because you knew exactly what these words meant. And if you did, then I pray that Allah mends what is broken within you, because He is the mender of all hearts. But please understand this. If you know someone who has lived a life like this, be kind. If you are someone who has lived a life like this, be gentle with yourself. People are taken back to places they fought very hard to leave. They return to versions of themselves they thought they had outgrown. So let us choose kindness. Let us choose understanding. And please let us stop blaming where blame does not belong. And if we must hold someone accountable, let it be with truth, not cruelty. Because shaming someone for how they survived can push them closer to the edge than you will ever see. Your words, especially the ones repeated over a lifetime, carry weight. They can steady someone or they can break them. So the next time you feel the urge to be harsh, dismiss, to wound, pause and ask yourself, is it truly worth it? Before you move on, take a moment and check in with yourself. Are your shoulders relaxed? Is your jaw at ease or is it clenched? Is your tongue resting gently or pressed tightly to the roof of your mouth? Are you holding tension without even realizing it? Are you bracing yourself for life every single second? Your body remembers what your heart had to endure. And wherever you find yourself in this moment, I want you to know this. I am proud of you, truly. And I pray that Allah heals the battles no one sees and creates ease in places no one knows. Ameen. This story, this experience is not rare. It lives in so many homes around us. It lives in so many little children who walk quietly among us every day, carrying wounds they do not have the words to explain. Wounds that make living, trusting, and simply being feel heavy. And you, right now, the parents of young children, have the power to change that. You can save them from this kind of pain. Please help your children. You have been entrusted with an amana from Allah. Do not squander that trust. do not waste the time you have been given with them, because time passes, children grow, and what is left within them stays. Please take a moment to be honest with yourself. Step back and look at your children. If there are habits that frustrate you, ask why they exist. Allah does not send children pre-formed with all their personality traits. They are shaped by what they are taught, by what they are allowed to experience, and by the love or lack of love they receive. If you see habits, coping mechanisms, or ways a child struggles, do not respond with anger or blame. See your role, see what you can change. Step in, guide gently, correct lovingly, and protect them from harm. You can only do this while they are your responsibility. This is your only chance. Please don't waste it. You cannot place the burden of accountability entirely on one child while others quietly avoid seeing the part they played. If you see harm happening, if you see a child suffering, if you can guide, correct, or teach, do it. Do it so children do not carry wounds like mine. Do it so they grow into adults who know safety, love, and worth.